Hello and welcome to Cricket Happenings, dear friends and subscribers. On this particular cricket show, we will talk about how Australia, I can say very well, going into the fourth day today of this fifth and final Ashes Test match. Australia definitely, day five rather, going on to day five. I'm sure Australia is smelling victory against England as England are trailing by 210 runs with 6 wickets remaining, and Australia piled on the agony for England yesterday at the Sydney Cricket Ground on the fourth day where they amassed 649 for 7 declared, courtesy 2 centuries from the Marsh brothers, Mitchell Marsh and Sean Marsh, making centuries, or 3 centurions in this particular innings. 156 to Sean Marsh, and Mitchell Marsh hitting the second ton of his Test series, really saying that Mitchell Marsh, as an all-rounder for Australia, is definitely coming of age. And so that is something. And as far as India versus South Africa is concerned, India would be probably happy with what has happened, as the third day's play in the first Test match between India and South Africa was washed out due to rain, and now we look for the morrow. As far as other cricket news is concerned, we'll have a look at the squads. As you know, the tri-series is coming up in Bangladesh between the hosts Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe have named their teams. Bangladesh have named their teams. We will have a look at them. But first, we are going to start off with the 4 days play on the fifth Magellan Ashes Test series, where Australia resumed at their overnight score, where they were in an impregnable position as it was the Marsh brothers in the middle, and the Marsh brothers, as I said, they piled on the agony. Marsh was really dealing with the bowlers in a very, and in fact, let me tell you, Australia had record temperatures yesterday. The mercury shot up to 49 degrees, 47 I reckon, and that is something very, very hard to bear, as you know. And it was really a sweltering day at the SCG in Australia, and it was not an easy day, but definitely Mitchell Marsh and Sean Marsh really went after the England bowling, especially Mitchell Marsh, who relies on raw power to send the ball across to the boundary, and he was the one who was doing that, as this particular partnership reached record proportions as they added 170 odd runs for the fifth wicket. And the first to get to his sixth Test century was Sean Marsh. As Sean Marsh got his century, there was a lot of excitement between the Marsh brothers as they both embraced each other, and why not? Sean Marsh first getting on to that coveted mark, as he had just 2 runs to get there, which he did it very quickly, and Sean Marsh continued. Sean Marsh, as you know, he's a very attractive player to watch, and as and when he gets an opportunity, one has seen that the strokes really flow from the bat of Sean Marsh. At the other end, Mitchell Marsh, as I said, was relying on power, and the England bowlers were made to wilt under pressure here. And with the heat, with the boiling heat there at the SCG, it was not an easy day, but one has to credit Sean Marsh and Mitchell Marsh to have contributed what they did. Sean Marsh made 156 with 18 boundaries before he was run out by Stoneman, and Mitchell Marsh went on to his second ton of the series and definitely, slowly but surely, cementing his place in the Australian team. I reckon Mitchell Marsh is a very good all-rounder, and Mitchell Marsh was doing a fine job. He got to his century, 101 with 15 fours and 2 sixes, and then Tom Curran produced a delivery which was top class according to me. The ball was pitched outside the off stump. He jagged in, and Mitchell Marsh was a goner. His stumps were disturbed. He was gone for 101. So that made it. That made the score 596. Mitchell Marsh was the first to go with 101. Later on, Sean Marsh was run out for 156. Tim Payne, Mitchell Starc was a victim of the bowling of Ali for 11 with 1 boundary. But then definitely the Aussie skipper was eyeing a 300 runs lead before he applied the declaration. So that enabled Tim Payne playing very well for his unbeaten 38 with 2 boundaries, and Patrick Cummins decided to swing his willow in the way that he could only do, as he hit some powerful strokes to make an unbeaten 24 with 4 boundaries. And as the lead reached 303, up came the declaration from Stephen Smith from the pavilion, calling his wards over, as Australia got a 303 runs lead as they declared it 649 for 7. Well, as far as the bowling was concerned, the bed, I think the bowling, in fact, Mason Crane got to a very, very unusual record, and I'm sure this is not something that Mason Crane would have expected. I think he has become Mason Crane, after bowling 48 overs, 3 maidens, 193 runs and 1 wicket, has given the most runs on Test debut by an England bowler, and that is a record now, as Mason Crane gave a lot of runs. But Mason Crane is definitely a fine prospect, according to me, for England for the future, and one is really waiting to see more of Mason Crane in the future. James Anderson, 34-14, 56-1, bowled a splendid line, I thought. Broad, 30 overs, 2 minutes, 1 for 121. Moeen Ali got a bit of stick as well, 48-10, 172. Current 25 overs, 3 minutes, 1 for 82. And Joe Root bowled 8 overs, 3 maidens, none for 21. So, with his 303 runs lead, it was turn for England to take to the crease. The England openers, Alistair Cook and Stoneman, started, and immediately Mitchell Starc struck. As Mark Stoneman shuffled across his off stump, the ball was pitched in line, it moved in, and Stoneman was walking back to the pavilion, even though he did review the decision, but it was definitely out, as Mark Stoneman returned back to the pavilion. LBW bowled Starc for naught, and that was not a good beginning for England, as the score read 5 for 1. After that, with only 10 runs ahead, Alistair Cook was really tested, I thought, by Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood outside the off stump. And after that, Nathan Lyon was pressed into service, and that is the time one saw that the ball was definitely doing something on the 4th day, and was to be expected at the SCG, as the ball was turning. There was a rough which was created outside the off stump, and the ball was really turning, and it hit one of those marks probably, but what a delivery from Nathan Lyon. Alistair Cook was on his forward prod, and it beat his forward prod, and the ball turned and picked up it was probably pitched on the off and middle stump. The ball turned past Alistair Cook's defences and went on to hit the timber. The bail was gone, and Alistair Cook was walking. What a superb delivery from Nathan Lyon, the run-arm spinner, bowled by Lyon for 10. And once we saw that, one knew that England were going to find it very difficult to survive on this pitch after seeing the way Nathan Lyon was bowling, and as I said, there was some real cracks on the pitch. James Swins hit 1 boundary, opened his account with a boundary, but he was also not looking any convincing, I would say, as the skipper Joe Root joined him. And James Swins was a victim, as Cummins got him to actually go and edge a delivery. Smith took the catch. Vince was going for 18, and Vince was out for 18 with 1 boundary. After that, David Mallon came in, and David Mallon, who has been doing a fine job for England here in this particular Ashes Test series, definitely, again, this was something about the pitch where David Mallon, in fact, did the cardinal error of going on to the back foot with a ball from Nathan Lyon that skidded in, and David Mallon was LBW because the ball was much quicker from Nathan Lyon, as it skidded and hit him on the pads, and David Mallon was walking back to the pavilion. LBW bowled Nathan Lyon for 5. As the score read 68 for 4, England were in really, really dire straits. And then Jonathan Barristow came out to join Joe Root. Joe Root decided to really ground himself at the crease, not taking any risk, but making sure that he was slowly getting a few singles and twos and slowly trying to eke his way out on the 4th day. That's what he precisely did. with Joe Root not out on 42. Jonathan Bairstow was not out on 17 with 3 boundaries. England finished at 93 for 4, but at a Herculean task lies ahead on the 5th day for the Englishmen. And I'm sure the writing is on the wall with Australia going 4-0, because as I said, what really prompts me to say this today on the final day is because the ball is turning. There are cracks on the pitch. There is a rough which has been created outside the off stump. We saw what Nathan Lyon did, and it is a matter of great concern, and it is only to be expected at the SCG on the final day. And to me, it feels like it's a writing on the wall that Australia are going to wrap up the series 4-0. But well, they still have some batting to come. Joe Root can really come up with something special. Jonathan Bairstow needs to stay there for a long time. They still have some batting to come in the form of Moeen Ali and Tim Curran and Broad. But again, it's going to be a very, very tough ask. And there's a final day tomorrow. And I think to keep away Nathan Lyon, to me, is going to be the biggest problem for England. The bowling, and they have 210 runs still to make. Mitchell Starc, 9 overs, 2 minutes, 1 for 17, bowled wonderfully well. Hazelwood, 9 overs, 1 minute, none for 26. Nathan Lyon is going to be the biggest threat for England, to me, as far as the final day is concerned. 19 overs, 6 maidens, 31 runs and 2 wickets for Nathan Lyon. Patrick Cummings, 7 overs, 1 minute, 1 for 12. It was all fire and brimstone, I would say. Stephen Smith bowled 2 overs, in which he gave away 6 runs. So, a very, very interesting duel coming up today on the final day of the SCG. As far as India and South Africa was concerned, as I said, the play was totally washed off, and I think India would be really thankful to the rain that it came along. Now, let's have a look at some cricket news here. As far as cricket news is concerned, we are talking about the Tri-Series, which is coming up in Bangladesh, where Bangladesh are going to be, they have Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka actually coming down to Bangladesh to participate in the Tri-Series, and the Zimbabwean squad was announced today. As far as Zimbabwean squad was announced, there were a few new names. One was a 20-year-old leg-spinning all-rounder by the name Brandon Mawuta, who has got a nod here, and there is also Ryan Murray, a 19-year-old wicketkeeper batsman who has been taken into the squad. As far as the Zimbabwe squad is concerned, Blessing Musrabani, who actually made his actually made his debut in a test match, as you would remember, has got an opportunity here. He has been and he's told that he has modelled himself on none other than the South African pace bowler Kagiso Rabada, and he has a similar action, and they say that Blessing Musrabani has he's blessed with lots of pace, and it will be interesting to see. As you know, he bowled in the pink ball test against South Africa, where he bowled 13 overs, 2 minutes, none for 48. So that was a good bowling from Blessing Musrabani, even though he could not get his maiden test wicket. But Blessing Musrabani has been given an opportunity in the one-day internationals. The team for Zimbabwe consists of Hamilton Masakaja, Solomon Mar, Craig Irvine, Brendan Taylor, Sukandar Raja, Peter Moore, Malcolm Waller, Graham Creamer will captain the team. Ryan Murray is the new bloke who is into the team, the 19-year-old wicketkeeper batsman. Tendai Chisoro, Brando Momenta, another new 20-year-old leg-spinning all-rounder. Blessing Musrabani, the pace bowler. Christopher Pofu, who is a much improved bowler according to me. Tendai Chatara, the tall guy. And Kyle Jarvis, who would be a big key there. So definitely the Zimbabwean squad is looking very, very strengthened with the team. If you look at it on paper, it looks pretty strong. But well, there is no place for Chamu Chibaba, has lost his place. Ryan Burl has lost his place. Tarisa Masakanda, Richard Grava, Donald Tapano. But Sean Williams was a bit of a surprise that Sean Williams, who has been doing a good job, does the steadying part very well. He really steadies the ship for Zimbabwe, I thought. And also, he can also, fling in a few overs as well. So it was a bit of a surprise with Sean Williams not actually figuring in the Zimbabwean squad. So that is as far as the Zimbabwean squad is concerned for the Tri-Series. Let's have a look at the host, Bangladesh, as to what was the composition of their squad. So Bangladesh, the hosts, and definitely probably even pitted to go and win the series. But Zimbabwe, probably, and Sri Lanka is there. So I think it should be a very well contested series according to me. but Bangladesh probably would be favourites on their home turf. The team consists of Mushraf Murtaza will be the captain of the side. Shakib Al Hassan, Tamim Iqbal, Imrul Qais, and Anamul Haq. Anamul Haq is the one who has been brought into the team because of his very good performances in the Bangladesh domestic league, where I'm told he has also hit a double century, and it seems that Anamul Haq is having the maximum runs in the domestic cricket in Bangladesh, and that's the precise reason his name figures in the Tri-Series. Mushfiqur Rahim, Mahmudullah, they all select themselves, as you know. Nasir Hussain, Sabbir Rahman. I was a bit surprised to see Sabbir Rahman's name figure after he got involved into a wrong thing where the BCB actually pulled out the contract from Sabbir Rahman. So I was a bit surprised to see Sabbir Rahman in the mix there. Mohammad Mithun, who has also been doing a very good job there, and both, as you know, Anamul Haq and Mohammad Mithun are wicket keepers as well. So that's something to boot. Mustafizur Rahman is back, so that would greatly strengthen the side. He could be the real key for Bangladesh for picking up some quick wickets in the early stages. Rubel Hussain, Abul Hassan, Mehdi Hassan Miraz, you know, it's a very talented right-arm off spinner. Mohammad Saifuddin, the young pace bowler, and Sunzamul Islam. So this is the team composition as far as Bangladesh are concerned, and I'm sure yes, let's talk about some glaring omissions which is coming up. As far as the glaring omissions which are coming up is there is no place for Taskin Ahmed, the pace bowler. They feel that he has not done his bit. He has been a bit out of form. He has not been amongst the wickets. So that is not good news so Taskin need to really, he probably took only 2 wickets, I'm told, in 61 overs in South Africa, and that's the precise reason he has been left out. And Soumya Sarkar also has lost his place. So Soumya Sarkar, who was in the last 15 ODIs has only got 250s, has also lost his place. So definitely Taskin Ahmed and Soumya Sarkar have some real task on hand. They have to work their way into back into the, and I'm sure they're especially Soumya Sarkar, to me, is very talented. And I don't think Bangladesh can ever keep Soumya Sarkar out of the one-day internationals. Probably he can get his form back, and probably we would probably see him firing on all cylinders, Soumya Sarkar. Taskin Ahmed is also a very talented bowler, has lots of pace in him, and one is definitely wanting. But there were other omissions as well. Mominul Haq was deleted from the team, so that was something to me as a surprise. I thought Mominul Haq has done a good job, and I was surprised to see that Mominul Haq's name didn't figure. And also Liton Das has not got his place. Shafiul Islam has lost his place as well. So these are some omissions in the Zimbabwe and the Bangladesh team for the Tri-Series. Well, dear fans, subscribers, I think I've dwelt enough as far as today's Cricket Happening show goes. But keep an eye on the final day of the SCG, where to me, Australia, I can probably say it at this time, unless rain comes and really helps England save this test match, I think the verdict is going to be the Ashes Test Series would be definitely coming to an end today, and I think the verdict is going to be 4-0 for Australia, because I think to survive on this pitch is going to be a very big task for England, especially, as I said, Nathan Lyon to me would be the biggest threat for them today, with the ball with the roughs have been created outside the off stump. And well, dear fans and subscribers, it's a pleasure bringing you this daily cricket show, and hope you had the same pleasure of actually listening to me here on this Cricket Happening show. It's your host Ram signing off this on a Sunday. Thank you.